Hello, welcome to this video on Dhammapada, chapter 8, Sahasravago, verse 9, verse 108 in the straight-through numbering. Yang kinchi yittang va hutang va loke sangvacharang yajeta punyapekho sabbam pitan na chatubhagameti abhivadana Ujjugate su seiyasu. I'll do it again now with the text visible. Let me try and get in the right place. Yang kinchi yettang va hutang va loke sangvacharang yajeta punyapekho sabbam pitan nachatu bhagameti abhivadana ujugate su seiyo. So, yang kinchi. Kim means what, and add a chi to the end of it, and it just means something. And put the relative, well, this is neuter singular, put the relative in front of it. Yang kinchi means whatever. And it can be pronominal or adjectival, so it can mean just whatever. It's the same way as in English, like whatever you do, or whatever adjectival, whatever sacrifice you make. The same rule applies in Pali as in English there. So, yankinchi yitangva hutangva, whatever offering or sacrifice. Now, yitang and hutam is from the two roots. Let me call up iPad. Where are we? Somewhere. There we are. We've got the hu to sacrifice and yaj also to sacrifice. They both mean to sacrifice in a ritual kind of sense. Though the meanings have come to merge together somewhat in the later language in Pali and in later Sanskrit. Though in Vedic, the root hu tended to mean more a burnt offering, a sacrifice into the fire, and the smoke would go up to the gods. And yaj was more of just any kind of ceremony, not necessarily with a burnt offering, a ceremonial sacrifice, a ceremonial offering. Now that distinction isn't hard and fast. Query how hard and fast it was during the time of the Buddha. I don't know. But generally it doesn't. I don't think it matters too much, because what is being said here, that any kind of sacrificial ceremony, any kind of offering ceremony, yankinchi yatamba hutamba, whatever sacrifice or offering, yajeta, one might offer, one might sacrifice. You got itam yajeta, both from the same root. So whatever sacrifice or offering one might sacrifice, loke, in the world, samvatcharam, that means a year. That's the accusative for duration of time. So whatever sacrifice the seeker of merit, the punyapeko, whatever sacrifice he might make over the course of a year in the world. So hu, past participle, hutta, that's a regular past participle. Now, yaj, we're going to make the past participle. Yad, okay, this is an incorrect form, just taking you through the notional steps. You have the root plus ta, so you'd have yaj ta. That's an impossible form because you can't have j in front of a t in Sanskrit. If a t comes after a j, then the j will become typically either a k or a sh. It'll become one of those two things. So here it becomes the j by Santi to sh, and the following t also becomes cerebralized, subdotted. So yashta. Now, what happens here is that because of the Vedic accent, we get the effect of samprasarana, a kind of a smudging out. The ya changes into an e. So, because the accent is still a short vowel, yashta in Vedic, these accents have disappeared by classical Sanskrit and by the time of Pali, but their grammatical influence remains. Because the accentuation is on the final syllable, that has a retrospective effect on the initial syllable, which in Vedic it becomes I. So sacrificed then becomes ishta. I'm putting that acute accent, not because it's long, it's not, it's short, ishta, but to show that that's where the accent fell in Old Vedic, which has its lingering effect in the later language. So from yajta, ishta, meaning sacrificed. In Pali, as you would expect, the shta becomes double T retroflex, ta, ishta itta, but the ya in Pali comes back. So that accounts for the yitta, meaning sacrificed. We see a similar phenomenon from the root swap, meaning to sleep. Asleep would be swap and just the past participial ending, swapta. But what happens now? The va by samprasarana is softened to u. That's why you get supta in Sanskrit, meaning asleep, and in Pali, sutta. Of course, in the Sanskrit sutra also becomes sutta. In Pali, that's always obvious from the context which one it is. So that's the same phenomenon. The wa or a ya preceding um, a syllable bearing the stress by lenition or by samprasaran here becomes softened to and the ya becomes an I and the wa becomes an u. Ishta, supta. The subject of the sentence is punya pekko. The punya apekko. Punya, it's loosely translated as merit. Let me call up text again. Here we are. We might have expected to see this lengthened because apekati, apa ekati, or no, apa ikshati in Sanskrit, so apa ikati, apekati, and then apekka. The punya apekka, we might have expected to see by Santi along punya apekka becoming punya pekka. But in this case, maybe because of just to preserve the meter, they wanted a short vowel, short or light syllable. It's just more evidence for the somewhat colloquial and looser nature of Pali. Either would have been correct. It wouldn't surprise me to see either. The Sanskritist, the Sanskrit speaker, would have preferred punyapeka. So the to apa iksha looking, apa ikshati, apekshati in Sanskrit, apekati in Pali, to look out for, literally to look down for, be on the lookout for something. So the punya apeko, somebody who's on the lookout for punya, somebody whose intention is to make punya, is to make merit. So yankinchi yatamva hutamva yajeta, whatever offering or sacrifice, yajeta, he might offer slash sacrifice, loke, the va and the va just means one or the other sacrifice or offering. In Sanskrit, you'd expect to see va with a long a as or. In Pali, you can find as va or va short. If you see the short va, that can also be from iva, meaning like, but here it's clearly not that. So the va, when you see a va, it's ambiguous in Pali. As you know, it was a word in isolation, it's ambiguous. Normally, it's evident from context. It can be the shortened form of iva, meaning like, or the shortened form of the Sanskrit va, or. And here obviously means or. Yitangva, hutangva, sacrifice or offering loke in the world. Yajeta, the punyapeko, the merit seeker, might sacrifice, might offer. Samvatcharam, for a year, for a whole year. Both were vachara and samvatsara. They both mean a year. Samvatsara is more common in Pali. With the prefix sam, it probably has the idea of emphasizing not just a duration of a year, 365 days long. It was probably emphasizing the cyclical nature, the round and round of a year, from the beginning to the end of the year and back to where you were in the same astronomical configuration. So let's now just recap that first line. Yankichi itang va hutang valuke sangvacharang yajeta punya peko. So whatever offering or sacrifice the punya seeker might offer for a whole year in the world. Sabampitam, even sabamtam, all that. Sabampitam, the p, even all that, even if he does all that. Nachatu bhagameti. Bhaga meaning a part or a portion. Eti, it goes. Chatu. Normally, chatu means four, and chatuta means a quarter or a fourth, isn't it? Fourth part, or ordinal fourth. Here, a little bit anomalously, chatubhagam clearly means 1/4, a fourth part, though it's used the word for four rather than fourth. That's just a bit of an anomaly here. So all of that does not go to 1/4. Does not go to mean does not approach. And we have the English colloquialism. It's nowhere near it, nowhere near as good. It's the same kind of imagery here. So all of that year-long sacrificing is nowhere near as good. 1/4 part of what? I think that's left unsaid here. 1/4 part of the better sacrifice, because the last pada, the last half line, looks like a separate sentence on its own. So sabbam pitanna chatubhagameti, all of that does not get anywhere close to being the same value. Does not go to a fourth part, does not approach being worth 1/4 of, imply the better sacrifice. And the last pada, abhivadana ujjugate su seyo. Seyo, we've had several times, meaning better. Looks a bit irregular. In fact, it's not. It's the It's a Sanskrit comparative noun, which the neuter form ends in as, and so it becomes o in Pali. So seyo means better, and it's a neuter, not a masculine. And sometimes you will find it being declined regardless of gender. And here we've got Abhivardhana, which is a feminine, but in Sanskrit it would be Shreyasi, but in Pali you can just avoid declining it for gender in this particular case. So Abhivardhana Seyo. So Abhivardhana means praising, literally talking up. Abhi, excuse me, Abhi, above, over. Vardhana, talking up to, either talking up to or talking up. We have in one of our chants, Buddhang Bhagavantam Abhivademi, meaning I offer reverent praise to the Buddha Bhagavan. This is the verbal noun Abhivadana. No, more normally we say Abhivadhanam as a neuter, but here it appears as a feminine Abhivadana. So Abhivadana Ujjugatesu. Um, it's given here in the locative plural. You might have expected to see the dative slash genitive Ujjugatanam offered to, praise of. But frequently you will find that when you're giving something, generally offering it, making it available, you will often find to multiple people or multiple recipients, you will often find a locative used. And I forget the verse now, but one verse we've seen not so long ago, where somebody was making the most wonderful gifts, offering them to everybody. And that was a locative there, because it's not offering to you and to you and to you specifically, but placing the gifts there among everybody for everyone to take. And we see the same phenomenon here, the locative plural, ujjugatesu. So the ujju, it's more common to see ujju with a single j, but here we have it with a double j. We have it, as you will recall, in the first verse of the Karanya Metta Sutta, Saku Uju, single j, Uju cha suju cha. So it's that Uju or Uju meaning upright. From the Sanskrit root rij, let me call that. Oops, sorry, here we are. Ridge. It's the one that came into Latin as rec, and same word as in correct and upright. It can mean upright, both in the physical sense of being vertical and also in the moral sense, exactly as in English. Upright, standing upright, and upright in the sense of behaving correctly and honestly. And we have the Homo erectus, when man began to stand upright, that is the erectus. And that's that same ridge, and it became Ujju. In fact, it is slightly more similar to the Vedic and modern English than the Pali is, because the Riju in Sanskrit, you can make an adjective out of it, is Riju, and which then in Pali becomes Ujju or Ujju. So Ujjugata can mean right going. In fact, our word right and our word going are both etymologically the same words as Ujju and Gata. Rijugata in Sanskrit. So that means rightly faring, those who behave, who go. Then remember, this word go is very, very broad, just all behaves, conducts oneself. So all of these other sacrifices are not worth the abhivadana, the uptalking, giving praise to the ujugatesu, to those who conduct themselves righteously, who go righteously. So I'll read it through once more. And remember, so this last pada, as I said, is a sentence on its own. It's a slightly disjointed sentence, a slightly disjointed verse if you'll try to analyze it strictly syntactically. But we've got to get used to that. The meaning is perfectly clear anyway. So abhivadana ujugatesu seyo is a sentence on its own. The praise of the rightly faring, the righteously behaved is better. So I'll read it through once more. Sorry. Yang kinchi yit. Sorry, let's try and get a bit more filling screen. Here we are. Yang kinchi yittang va hutang va loke sang vacharang yajeta punyapekho sabbam pitan nachatu bhagameti abhivadana ujjugate suseyo. And once more, yang kinchi yittang va hutang va loke sang vacharang yajeta punyapekho Sabbam pitanna chatubhagameti abhivadana ujjugate suseyo. And that's all on this video.